Okay, we had a 14-period practice. It was mainly Washington State, more prep than it was anything, and I thought it was a solid practice. Obviously, you already know, but we named Nick Marshall our starting quarterback yesterday, and really there was a couple factors that led into it. It was a close battle, but the bottom line is when Nick knew what to do, he outperformed the others. The things that he felt comfortable with. We really feel like he'll have a chance to improve and get better, each practice and each game. He didn't have the luxury going through spring, but what he knows extremely well, and has a lot of playmaking ability. With that, Jonathan Wallace also, we felt like had a really good camp, and he will be the next guy in if something were to happen to Nick. And we have a lot of confidence in him, and his teammates do too. He understands the offense, and he understands the complete playbook. Jeremy Johnson is a close, I'm not going to say 3, maybe a 2A. He also really impressed us. He's got a lot of physical tools. He understands how to run a fast-paced offense because he did it in high school, and really impressed us and did a solid job.
Questions? When it just comes with Jeremy, is it just a matter of wanting to try and redshirt him, that kind of factor?
Well, right now, obviously, if at this point, it wouldn't be a bad thing if he redshirts. That means the other guy stayed healthy. But we're still bringing him along. I mean, he's going to get reps in practice, and he's going to understand what happens. And like I said, he made it interesting, and it's very hard to do for a true freshman to make it interesting. But that says a lot about him.
Gus, just how was today's practice with Nick being the starter?
It felt different. It really did, from the standpoint he was a lot more vocal, and I think his teammates really responded to him, and that's natural. That usually happens, and it's always good to see how a guy responds once you give him the keys to the car and see how he responds. But I really felt like he went out there. He was encouraging, and it was good to see.
Some of his past coaches have said that he's got a real aptitude for picking stuff up. Is that something kind of played into the decision?
I think so. I mean, what we have asked him to do is extremely challenging. Just the communication from the sideline, our installs. When you're going through camp, you're installing at a pace for your whole team, not just for your quarterback. And when you're putting in 4 and 5 new plays each practice, and it adds up, it says a lot if guys can handle that. And kind of like I said, the bottom line, it came down to the stuff that Nick felt comfortable doing, and he understood the sideline and the protect and everything that goes with it. That's when he was at his best. So from a coach's standpoint, that just told us that, hey, the more he gets comfortable, the better he'll get. And so that's encouraging. And you've heard me say before, our goal this year is to get better each practice and each game, and we feel like Nick will be a part of that.
You've mentioned that you've had a lot of quarterbacks, different types of guys, but Nick seems a little bit different. He seems to be obviously smaller, faster. You want to build to his strengths. What are his strengths? We're going to see him utilized a little bit more in the run.
Yeah, I tell you what, we're always going to play to our quarterback strengths, but he's very unique. There's no doubt. He's a phenomenal athlete. One of the better athletes I probably got a chance to coach at the quarterback position. He's got a very strong arm, and he's very calm. The day that we went live, they were flying around him, and I was right there back there with him, and he seemed like it was 7-on-7 mode, and that really thought a lot. I thought a lot about that, and that had something to do with it too.
Gus, you said once he knew what was going on.
Yeah.
When did the light bulb go off?
Well, I think each practice you'd see him improve, but the things that he felt comfortable with, and it was natural progression and everything, and he didn't have to think. He just could react. That's when he was at his best, and so what we'll do this first game, we're going to take the plays in that he feels comfortable with, and we're starting to learn more about what that is, and this week that'll have a lot to do with it. But the good thing is each week he's going to get more and more comfortable. And like I said, all the other quarterbacks I've ever had, really but one, had a chance to go through spring. Cam had a chance to go through spring, and if I was judging Cam at this same point, I'd probably feel the same way.
You said, but was it like week 2 when it clicked for him? Week 3?
I think it was I don't think there was one time. I just think there were certain plays that he felt more comfortable with, and it's probably a past history of certain concepts and things that go with that. And, you know, but to answer your question as far as feeling comfortable with the communication, yeah, it was probably in the second week he finally started understanding where he could communicate and think through, because half the battle in our system is getting everything right before the play starts. And once you do that, then you start looking at what the defense is giving you, and you worry about the progression. So there's a lot to it. We ask a lot of our quarterback, probably as much or more than anybody in the country.
I guess you said what he feels comfortable with, so then for the first game, if you had to estimate how limited your playbook and play calling is going to have to be by comparison to what you want it to be, how limited is it?
You know, we don't have the answer to that yet. This week, you know, we're going to throw quite a bit out there, and we'll see what he feels comfortable with. And, you know, we've always done that, you know, especially early on with a new starter. I think early on, you've got to make the quarterback feel comfortable, and it's got to be something that he is confident doing. And you try your best not to put him in a bind and ask him to do things he's not comfortable with. So this week will be part of that, and obviously by, you know, this time next week we'll have a real good idea about that.
I've heard you joke before, but it took you a few weeks to figure out Cam's strengths and all that. Do you feel that you've got a pretty good grasp of what Nick can do at this point in camp?
Yeah, you know, the difference is, and we never went live with Cam, you know, but there was a lot of things. I mean, if you'd have watched Cam 2.5 weeks in the spring practice, I mean, in all fairness, you wouldn't think you didn't know for sure he's going to be the quarterback. I mean, everything wasn't perfect. But we do understand what Nick, I think, can do. We think that he's got a lot of more upside, that he'll get better and more comfortable with everything. But like I said, he's got some ability to make plays when things break down. And y'all already know this, but in this league, things are going to break down from time to time, and that has something to do with it too.
You guys can talk about Jonathan. Has he improved since the end of spring practice?
I believe so. I believe he has. He fought hard. Thing about Jonathan, he's a great competitor now, and he is one of the more class, high character young men on our team, and his teammates really respect him. And you know, he fought hard, and it was hard to tell him he wasn't going to be the starter, I'll tell you that. But he's a class young man. He handled it like a champ. I know, you know, he's probably hurting, but you wouldn't know that. He's very supportive of Nick, and that helps our team.
He's a guy that